Hey, what's up, everybody? This is KG from Draw 7. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the impact of the new subset for Pokemon TCG Prismatic Evolution. It's going to be coming out in January, middle of January. So we're going to talk about the impact as far as not so much the meta, but from the business point of view, and as far as the pricing and league cups, especially in the local scene. So it's my true understanding that, I want to say Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. Of course, we're ringing in the new year. And within the new year, January, February, March, we have the third quarter League Cups coming in for the local scene. So it's my understanding that the next set for Pokemon is going to be Prismatic Evolutions. And I feel that that set is going to be a very impactful set, not only in the meta, but also from a business point of view. It's going to be very impactful for collectors, or as what people will call me, the slab boys coming in. So, the next the next main set for Pokemon is not going to come in until I believe in March, and that one is going to be the trainer Pokemon, which is called Journey Together, and that's not coming until March 28th. So obviously 2 weeks before March 28th is going to be the pre-releases, and then on January 17th is the release of Prismatic Evolutions. Pretty much to any collector out there that's trying to get that's pretty much the chase cards are going to be the EVs and its evolutions, pretty much. So what are we going to be talking about today's episode? Well, the thing is that I've told people that as far as pricing, now I know the card players that are chasing the dream and getting the points, and to even to the average players, I know we kind of don't care for pricing because we just want to play the card game, but to some extent, there has to be some carrot in front of us or some incentive in front of us to kind of be motivated to do a little bit better. And I know sometimes when we go to these card shops and tournaments, sometimes, and I'm not talking about anyone specifically, it could be anywhere because I've seen it everywhere. It just depends. There's card shops that have supply and that don't have supply, and it is what it is, right? But there's times I've seen where like people work really hard and then the outcome is kind of like, okay, wow, we're getting Scarlet and Violet. Okay, we're getting Stellar Crown and stuff like that. And it is what it is, right? Because it's really not the card shop's fault, because they're not in control what the distributor gets them. They pretty much are at the mercy of whatever they get from the distributor. And I know many card shops have many distributors, but it is what it is. But I'm very curious how Prismatic Evolution is going to impact the pricing so much, because it is a subset, kind of like 151 or Pokemon Go. And from what I understand, though, it's going to be very limited right now. Now, I will say that I hope that's not true, because when Pokemon 151 came out, there was an abundance of it eventually, right? And then there was just a stockpile, but eventually it ran out, right? So I know that sounds cliche, but I feel that when Prismatic Evolutions comes out, I think, from what I understand, there's going to be a lot less than there was for 151, which does affect the pretty much the League Cups, because as far as pricing, I know there's Shroud of Fable available. I know some shops have Shroud of Fable, Stellar Crown, but normally with these League Cups, I know shops like to give out their latest set because they have an abundance of it, which is rightfully so. At the end of the day, business is business, and these card shops, they got to put food on the table. They got to make a living. So why wouldn't you put the latest set out there with the League Cup, especially you're going to get a large crowd? That's just how I see it, and that's just a good business strategic advantage. But you see, it gets a little tricky because the new main set is not coming out till March, and so and that's not coming out to the very end of March. There's going to be pre-releases, right? So obviously you can't really give out that pricing, much less you don't want to promise it, because that's just going to be so far in for the third quarter League Cup. But then Prismatic Evolutions kind of comes out in January, which is perfect. But from a business point of view, why wouldn't you you want to set some aside, but if you get very limited supply, then you're gonna have to make a decision as a business owner. Like, okay, do I want to save this for the players, what little I have, or because at the end of the day, there's going to be, if there's limited supply, one person can just come in and just swoop in and just buy everything if they wanted to, because it does happen. The trading card business is very unique. You're not going to make a whole lot of money from everybody. You make a whole lot of money from just certain individuals or very few individuals. You're frequent buyers, pretty much. And you know, I'm not going to say where, but I can confirm like at least one person has told me that if they were to get Prismatic Evolution, there's already been an offer that this one person has told this owner that, you know, I'm willing to drop down the 3 to 5K to buy out your Prismatic. So what I'm talking about is the collectors. So I feel that Prismatic is going to impact the card players and so much the collectors, because collectors are going to come back in the scene. Now, it's not every subset that collectors come on in, you know, particularly if they like the card because it looks pretty. But I can tell you that because it's EVs and the evolutions are in there, which is kind of nostalgic to those collectors, they're definitely going to want in on this set, and they're definitely probably going to buy out as much as they can, which is perfectly fine for business, because why wouldn't they want to get rid of all the product? Now, I know some card shops are probably going to get creative, and this is where they come in with their business ideas, like, well, you know, let's have some tournaments and top placement gets first priority. And, you know, some card shops will do that. Some other card shops will be like, well, you know what, behind the scenes, we're just going to go ahead and open the product and then sell it on TCG Player, because that would be smart as well, because somebody will buy it. But the point I'm trying to make is that Prismatic Evolutions, I think it's going to make a very big impact to all card collectors and card players, which means for the card player that plays competitively the card game, it's probably going to be hard to get product. And I know usually with pre-releases or, well, FYI, subsets, there's no pre-releases. It just gets released. So compared to Shroud of Fable did impact the meta game for Pokemon TCG, but from a collector point of view, it was kind of you know, kind of mid for them, I'm sure. But with Prismatic Evolutions, I can clearly guarantee you that that these collectors will come out and start trying to buy out all this product, because there's a lot of chase cards. So it just depends, and I feel like this is going to be a really big supply and demand as far as getting the cards, because I mean, obviously you really don't see what card is going to be impactful till later on, or unless somebody out there that kind of states that this deck is good and they proved it to you and you tested it. So either way, I still think that inflation is going to be probably higher for longer than usual. Usually it takes 2 weeks before prices start dropping because there's an abundance of it. But I think it'll be a little bit longer than that these prices will go down, simply because collectors will be on this set as well. Now, do I hope that there's going to be an abundance of Prismatic Evolutions eventually? I surely do hope so. But until then, you're going to have to look at all possible places, because collectors do that anyways. I mean, I always see it in chats, you know, they just, hey, I'm at Target, hey, I'm at Walmart, or, you know, at the retail stores, because they know local card shops, they don't really have it at the moment. So I just fear that there's going to be a limited supply. And when it comes to pricing, just letting you know, judges and TOs have no say-so how the pricing works. I know you think we do, but we don't. A long time ago, it used to be like that, but Pokemon just kind of gave all power to the card shops. That's why card shops only have TOs. They can have judges as well, but you know, the bare bones, you can just have a TO, and if there's rulings, then it just becomes the Wild Wild West, and the players have to just research or just kind of just agree that this is what it is, or ask somebody that's very knowledgeable of the game. But most of the time, in a perfect world, TOs and judges, TOs are judges, you know, and they usually are the same person, but they don't determine the pricing. So most of the time, I know Kaboom does this. If they're out of Pokemon stuff, they usually just do store credit for the local scene, and most players don't complain about that because they just save it later on and they use it. So that's probably the smartest thing. My advice to all those card shop players, card shop owners, or if they don't have the product. Now, at the end of the day, we don't control that. So if they say, hey, here's Scarlet and Violet, too bad, so sad, then it is what it is, right? I mean, and at the end of the day, these card players, they're just kind of chasing the points, at least the most competitive ones. But I do fear that the impact of Prismatic Evolution is going to impact all collectors and card players all around. Usually you don't get that. I think the last time that's happened was 131, Pokemon Go. You know, so will we get a little post-pandemic resurgence as far as supply and demand? Possibly. I know when we were exiting the post-pandemic, I know cards just exploded. And so I don't think it's get to that point where like, oh my God, like, you know, I need my Prismatic Evolution, you know. No. But I do feel that it'll be tricky to get a hold of it. especially if it's true that card shops do get a limited supply to Prismatic Evolutions, because there is a supply for it, and everyone knows that. Like, we try to play it off like, well, we'll see what we do with it, and no, everyone has their plan already what they're going to do with it. So my prediction is some card shops will either crack it open to get those chase cards and go to TCG Player, because it's no secret everybody uses TCG Player, and why wouldn't you? Like, that's just very smart. Some card shops probably will do half and half. I'll crack some open, sell it on TCG Player. I'll save some for my card players, and some will just save for the card players. So it's just going to be site-based management or preference what these card shop players, card shop owners, and card shops do with it. The good news is that, hey, we have almost 7 League Cups in the local scene and 7 leagues in the Valley. So it's not like, it's not like you have to go here to get your Prismatic fix. I mean, there's Cascade, HTS, there's Kaboom, there's Stronghold, there's Moonblast, there's the Pocket, and I believe there's 2 more shops that did get League Cups. We'll see how they fare as far as running tournaments. That's Myth Adventures, and forgive me, I'm saying this wrong. It's a card shop in Edinburgh called Sapos. Sapos, I'm probably saying that wrong, but I'm sure Jacob will correct me. Jacob's the only person I know that kind of just goes over there, and probably some other card players, but anyways. So I'm just curious on your thoughts on Prismatic Evolutions as far as the impact from the business point of view. I'll do another video about the meta, because I know there's an abundance of meta videos for Prismatic, so I'm not worried about that, but I'm just more curious from the business point of view, because like I said, prizing, I mean, it is a little importance, because especially those players that work really hard and then they get disappointed because, oh, good, I'm getting Scarlet and Violet. Now, granted, if of course, and Horacio knows this, but we got like Unified Minds or older sets, base set, then of course you're not going to complain because it's a collector set. But as far as any older sets, Stellar Crown, I know people are getting kind of tired of Stellar Crown. I mean, it is what it is, right? And of course, Surging Sparks didn't really. Surging Sparks was one of those sets that card shops are kind of like, and then everyone wanted Pikachu. And then now card shops realize, oh, okay, well, we got to sell. We get, or cool. Like, it was one of those weird sets that just kind of like, at first it was kind of meh. And then when people realized that everyone wanted Pikachu, then everyone started caring. So, in other words, there's no Surging Sparks right now, like, to get a hold of. Now, granted, there is a different type of market out there. And I kind of feel that we're missing that kind of market. Some card shops do cater to that market, but not all card shops, and I'm talking about the graded cards, or catering to the slab boys. That's what I call them. And not all card shops do the graded thing. I don't know if there's a market for it. There probably is, but only some card shops do the graded cards, and of course the Holy Grail is number 10, perfect. So for those authentic, those when people send their cards to get authenticated or graded. So I know there's not as big a market as there used to be. And honestly, there probably is a need for it again, because that's pretty much how you get more players into the card game. So we'll see. I know Moonblast does that. I know Kaboom does that. I know in the Valley at some point and I know he's coming back. Roots Cafe used to be really good about that, as far as selling it on their doing, going live and selling, or especially the Japanese sets. So and I think Roots back at it again. So anyways, it should be interesting to see how Prismatic does come out. I know if people get a hold of the Japanese set, like collectors do chase those cards, and because they want their fix already. But pretty much bottom line is we just can't help ourselves because we get that itch to crack the pack. So anyways, that's just kind of my thoughts on Prismatic as far as from a business point of view. It won't be till later on till we get the next main set, and then until then, I don't think like people are gonna care to the main set until we get there. It's kind of like when, especially card players, when they ask me like, oh, what are you gonna play the next format? And I'm like, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about this format and trying to crack the meta, because I live in the moment. I'm not worried about the future, unless everyone's trying to print out proxies, sure, but I'm not really worried about that. I know everyone is kind of doing the obligatory, well, I'm gonna wait till rotation until I get back into the game. I've heard that every year. you know. And honestly, why are you waiting that long? Just play the card game, you know. Like it's almost like you're talking like I'm good at the game, but I'm waiting until the right moment. It's like there's never no right moment. Just get into the card game. Don't be shy. Go to these local card shops. Meet up with people. Play the card game. You know, get your butt whooped because that's the only way you're gonna get better. And you just have at it. You know, I know rotation's coming up, but don't wait. I mean, the card game's cheap. Come on. Please, like compared to Magic and One Piece, just get into the card game, spend your $80, make a deck, start learning it, get your butt whooped. So, anyways, what are your thoughts on Prismatic Evolution? What are your thoughts on the next set? Pretty much the tag team trainer set, Our Journey, coming out March. Like, subscribe this channel, and again, this is KG from Draw 7 signing off. Have a good day.